You now know every meeting inside a sprint: planning, stand-up, review, retrospective. But we have not talked about the container that holds them all together. It's called the sprint itself. By now you already have a feel for what sprint is. You have seen work get planned, tracked, reviewed, and improved, right? But there is something about the sprint that those meetings do not explain on their own. So let's talk about that. A sprint is a fixed box of time, usually 2 weeks, where your team commits to defining a set of work and delivers it. You have seen the meetings, and now let me show you why the container matters as much as what is inside it. The sprint length is fixed. You pick a duration, 1 to 4 weeks, and you keep it the same sprint after sprint. It doesn't scratch because the work is not done. It does not shrink because leadership wants results faster. That consistency is the entire point. Because here is what a fixed sprint length actually gives you: the ability to learn your own pace. Your first sprint will be messy. The team will overcome it, underestimate, or lose a day to something nobody saw coming, and that is normal. The second sprint will be better. You will remember what slowed you down. You will plan a little more carefully. By your third or fourth sprint, something shifts. The team starts to predict better with a real accuracy. What is the realistically deliver in 2 weeks? Not because someone give you a formula, but because you have done it enough times at the same interval to recognize your own capacity. This is why the length stays fixed. So again, not because the rules say so, but because your team cannot learn its rhythm if the cycle keeps changing. And that learning is what separates a Scrum team from team with a calendar. A calendar tells you when things are due, and a sprint teaches you what your team can realistically deliver. Okay? And here is the rule that protects that rhythm. Once the team commits to work in sprint planning, nothing gets added mid-sprint without the team's agreement. That's very important. If someone wants to add work mid-sprint, it goes through the who? Product owner. And the team has to agree. If they take something new in, something else comes out. The sprint is not a container that expands. It's a commitment the team can realistically finish. Does this mean emergencies never happened? Of course not. A compliance deadline moves up. A client escalates an issue, a critical approval gets pulled. When something truly urgent comes in, the product owner and team discuss it. They decide together whether it replaces something in the current sprint or waits to the next one. But the discussion is visible and deliberate, not a quiet override that nobody tracks. Let me show you what this looks like in your team. In marketing, the sprint is 2-week window where the team delivers the campaign brief, the social assets, and the Q3 report draft. When the VP asks for an extra presentation on day 4, the product owner says, "We can add it, but which of these 3 items I shared we pulling out?" In HR, the sprint is a cycle where the team screens candidates, schedules interviews, and finalizes the onboarding checklist. When a new request lands mid-sprint, it goes to the backlog for the next sprint unless it is generally cannot wait. In operations, the sprint is the cycle where the vendor onboarding checklist gets built and tested. A new compliance request on day 7 does not silently join the pile. It gets evaluated by the team, and the team decides. Same protection and different departments. Okay? Here's a small assignment for you. Ask your Scrum Master or team those 3 questions. Number 1, how long are our sprints? Number 2, when does the next one start? And number 3, if someone adds work mid-sprint, what happens to the work we already committed to? If you get clear answers to all 3, your team has a real sprint written. If nobody can answer them clearly, your team is not really running sprints yet. You are working in time blocks without protection that makes Scrum work. Okay? That is worth knowing now, not 3 sprints from now. You now know the meetings, the rhythm, and how the sprints protects your team's focus. Next, we move to the tools that keep everything organized. Module 4 covers the 3 artifacts: the backlog, the sprint backlog, and how to write user stories when you do not build software. I'll see you there.